guys, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Story. I'm here, Alyssa, just me today without Pono, but I have one of my dearest friends, Karis, with me today. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things. Karis is an amazing friend. She's also an amazing mom to her beautiful daughter, Tony. And so I really wanted to bring her on here to talk about just the season of life she's in. I think sometimes being a single mom, like a lot of people don't know like what it's like and can't like relate. And so I really want her to share that side of her story, but really I just want her to share her heart and just her story because I really feel like it is a powerful one. And so before we get into all of that though, let's hear from you about like, where are you from? Were you born and raised here? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, like she said, my name is Karis Tautolo. I was born on Oahu, specifically on the windward side, so Kaneohe. I have 3 younger siblings, 2 girls, 1 boy, and I'm the oldest.
The oldest. We're both oldest then.
So that's like rough in itself. That's
is.
another testimony. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm a single mom of a 2-year-old baby girl named Tony. I graduated in 2015. I'm 24 years old.
Hey.
Yeah, that's basically
But what's your culture again? Because Tautolo is what?
Samoan.
Samoan. Okay,
so see, but that's
a whole nother story.
That's part of the testimony.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay.
But my last name is Tautolo ever since Easter going into my senior year. Before that, it was Villalon.
Villalon?
Okay.
But is that Samoan also?
No, it's Filipino. Like very Filipino. So
what?
Just recently, we realized that we were saying it wrong. We were saying our last name wrong.
That's crazy.
It's like Villalon. Because
Villalon.
Do they, as if I'm not Filipino, I think the L's are silent. It's like ya.
That's like Spanish. And I feel like Filipino and Spanish are similar in some ways like that. Okay, 2015 graduate though. But from where?
Kamehameha.
Really? I didn't know this about you. Know that? Oh, my phone's going off. I didn't know that about you. Did I?
No, I don't think we've ever talked about it.
I don't think we ever
because
talked
I don't
about it.
Say it like.
Yeah, because everybody from Kamehameha,
it comes with stereotypes.
They're proud though. That's what I'm saying. Like I never heard you be like, what? You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
I'm just like,
what in the world?
And then too, I feel like I stray away from saying it because I'm not where I am, where I thought I was supposed to be while I was attending. So I not constantly, but every so often I'll battle with the label that I place on myself because I was a graduate from there. It's like, oh, you were supposed to have graduated. You're supposed to have your master's already. You're supposed to you're not supposed to be a single mom right now. Like, hello. It was like a wasted opportunity kind of thing. So I think that's where it stems from, and I'm still working on it. To be honest.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Still working on it.
Yeah, because everybody has like those high expectations, right, from Kamehameha student. But I think you're killing it without all that stuff.
But like once you hear Kamehameha, it's like, really?
Yeah. Like I didn't know that though. Mainly, but that's not because of where you're at, but because you don't rep it as hard as like other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like people
rep it. There's like a time
and
a place. Yeah. You know, like sometimes if people are just asking me like this, I'm like, Kamehameha. Like,
That's crazy. So then you're Hawaiian, obviously. Filipino, you said.
I mean, not all students that go to Kamehameha are Hawaiian. Okay. Hawaiian, Filipino. I was raised by a Samoan, so that's part of my testimony too. I claim being Samoan because the dad that raised me is Samoan. Biologically, I'm Black.
Interesting.
But I don't claim it really. I grew up not.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Identifying with it. So that obviously came with some hurt and some just identity issues, like not being able to step into who I was and being like confused on. I don't want to disrespect my dad by claiming something that I am because of somebody that has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm actually a lot of things. I'm white. I'm technically black,
Yeah.
Asian, like it's just.
Oh wow.
I just say like, so growing up, my favorite number is 5, and so when people ask me what I am, I would narrow it down to 5 categories.
Oh snap.
I would literally say Asian, white, Samoan, Filipino. Like I would do the Chinese, Japanese as Asian, and then
Yeah.
Filipino was separate. Like, so I would just do the 5 because I didn't
Oh my
want to.
gosh.
There's just a fat list,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, before we get into your story, how did we meet? Do you remember?
Oh, don't ask me
I
this.
feel like I'm trying to think too. I have horrible memory. Like that's the ongoing theme in these podcasts is like I'm always
My
bringing up how
memory?
bad.
Okay, mom brain is a thing.
It
okay?
is even after the baby, while you're pregnant and after the baby.
Yeah.
100%.
I was super clumsy when I was pregnant.
Oh, were you? I can't
Really
remember
clumsy.
if-
Like
I don't think I was.
broke so many glass
Oh my
plates,
gosh.
cups, just broken.
At least then you had the excuse to go with it though. Like I'm pregnant, so.
It's just, excuse me. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. That's crazy. I think it must have been here at church sometime.
It has to be church.
Some weekend.
It's just.
when,
I think
don't know.
It was always a high and by.
Yeah.
And then our friend, I think the more involved I got, because when I met you, you had already planted in this church, you know, and you had a name in the church already.
Oh, gosh.
But for me, when I came in, I was like, I remember always admiring you though. Like just being like, wow, that girl is so cool. Like I want to be her friend. I want to be her friend, but then at the same time, I was like, she's too high up there. Like I just started here, you know.
Oh my gosh.
I need to get my feet wet. And
No.
So I think it was just as I grew and like got more involved in ministry or whatever, and started to have more friends in church, I think our groups just collided.
Yeah. Especially because you
That's it.
started serving at Collective, which is our young adults ministry. I think that's more so when like our friend groups were like, oh wait, like Shawnee and like you know all these different people, you know.
Even because Michaela was the one that trained me, so it's like I feel like I would see you even more often.
Yeah.
Plus Pono serving there too. And then once you found out you were pregnant, it started on Instagram. Our friendship started on Instagram.
Like commenting back and forth kind of thing. That's honestly, I've been loving that. And Pono's always like, how do you know so and so? I'm like, oh, Instagram.
It's dangerous, but when you use it for good, you know what I mean? Then it's
there's
good.
a good, you know? There's a good in it. But yeah, I think it's just when our like exactly what you're saying, our friend groups collided, and then especially in this last year, I feel like we gotten closer. Because
of
Ryder
course,
and
you know
Tony,
when you're about to leave.
I know. I'm so bummed. I wish
Just
I wish it would have been like earlier, honestly, because like I don't have not many mom friends here at the church. Like maybe outside I know.
Me neither.
But yeah, so it's like kind of a bummer. But also I love seeing Ryder and Tony together. They
love each other,
they
okay?
do.
When I say that's how I get Tony up and to move quick, oh, I'm gonna see Ryder. Oh, I'm gonna go see Ryder and his mommy.
Yeah.
And she's like, Ryder? And she'll run.
It's the same
So-
with Tony. And I think I told you this. Ryder wakes up sometime and the first thing he'll say, I'll be like, good morning, Ryder. And he's like, Tony.
No,
the
doesn't
cute
it
way he
break
says
your
it.
heart though?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, what the heck? Like, love me first. You just gotta love me.
And then Pono's like, oh, do you think Ryder likes Tony? Like, has a crush on her?
You know what's funny? So many Collective people say that you guys are gonna move back, and Tony and Ryder.
Oh, like a little arranged marriage. Yeah,
I'm
we'll set them
like,
up.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad. You guys would, because you guys are some cute babies, okay?
Oh my goodness, thank you.
But
Yeah,
that's too far. That's too far.
I think, yeah, so for sure them too, like getting together and playing has gotten us closer. And yeah,
Even when I was pregnant, I feel like you drew to me and it was kind of like you would check on me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I remember you checking on me during my pregnancy when I would walk around church. And it actually made a huge difference. Like there was some times where I was like just in hard seasons, like mentally, you know, and then you would just come up, you know, be you. And I'd be like, she loves me. And then be like, okay, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
And then when you got pregnant, I was so happy. It was hilarious. I was so excited.
Yeah,
and I think
because there was somebody else too,
Yeah.
like, right? But were
like,
we
hey, I'm
pregnant at
looking
the
for
same
baby.
time? No, right? Because how? I don't think
Tony's
so.
April. 2019.
Oh, and Ryder. Oh no, I think I
just gave birth.
and I just got pregnant. So they're almost
Almost a year?
almost a year. I feel like, yeah, because I think I was pregnant April 2019 and then gave birth November 2019. So
Yeah.
yeah, whatever the math is, somebody do the
gonna
math.
Do
We're not gonna
do the math and then let us know. Like,
yeah, literally. Because
I'm
I don't do the math.
I don't do the mental math
Yeah,
thing.
same. Okay, well, where do you want to start? How do you want to tell? I don't even know where to start. What do you want to start with?
Neither do I.
Growing up, did you want to start with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, see, this is so hard because there's so many details, and then it's like my mom's testimony explains mine, and it goes like hand in hand, you know? But then I always feel convicted because I don't want to share her testimony. It's like, that's not your testimony, sis. Sure. Yeah. But basically, what I have gone through and what my mom has gone through is very, very similar. Scary similar.
Wow.
But it's not until I got a little older did I know. And so there was, I feel like it's like I love my mom, but there was definitely a barrier and like she doesn't really understand what it's like. But once she started trusting me enough to, not trusting me enough, but once she started opening up more and sharing exactly what she, like different stories or whatever, then it started to click in my head that she knew exactly what you were doing. The lies that you were telling, she knew it because she already had done it. And my mom tried so hard to warn me, but I was just so stuck on my way over the highway, you know? So we grew up in a house that, like Christian-based house. I grew up in church. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she was with her kids all the time. She did the cooking, she did the cleaning, took us to school, picked us up, and then my dad was the breadwinner. And so that's how we grew up. And you know how like you always want to be like your mom? Like if you have a dope mom, you want to be like her when you become a mom. So when I had Tony, and I finally came back to my senses and came back to the real Karis, you know, I knew that that's something that I wanted to do because I knew the sacrifice that she made, but I knew that it was worth it. And so we grew up in a household that was super strict because of my dad. Samoan. If there's any Samoans out there, I don't even need to explain. You already know what it is. Very strict. Girl, boy, like girlfriend, boyfriend kind of things, that's a no. That's a flat out no. That's what we call cheeky. And like if girls are like acting silly, you know, like how you like just flirtatious characters, I don't know. That's like being cheeky. And with my dad, that did not fly. We could not watch MTV.
Wow.
Right. We kept our movies to like G-rated, PG. If there was a kissing scene and we didn't look away fast enough, my dad gave us the stinkest eye.
Oh my God.
It was like that kind of household. So for me to go from that, not having conversations about sex or about relationships because it was like no, like flat out no. Kids are curious. So I went and found out by myself. You know, and I became super rebellious. I was a really good kid. Got straight A's. Cried when I got my first B kind of kid. But it wasn't until, and I was super tomboy in elementary. So when intermediate hit, I started getting a little bit more girly. And that's where it all went downhill. Okay? That's where it just was like, wing. So more and more, you know, more curious. You start seeing things and then you question it like, see, I'm trying to keep it like PG 13-ish, you know? You just see things, you hear things, and then you question it. Like, what is that like? Or whatever. And curiosity got the cat, to be honest. So I graduated, went straight into school and work. And I was just this constant cycle of I literally worked. There came a point where I think I was working like 4 jobs.
Oh, wow.
But it was, now that I know who I am in Christ, and now that I've come back and I look back at it, I'm like, damn, you were not making any type of money at all. So I know I was not doing what God wanted me to do, and that's why it was like for nothing.
Yeah.
It was like me on a hamster wheel, like, because I would just wake up, go to work, go to school, do all these things, and it was just for nothing. It was like I was working to pay for my gas. That's what it ended up being. I ran away from home because I had started dating this Samoan boy. Now that I look back, exactly like my dad. You know how they say you like marry your... Yeah. He was exactly like my dad. So I ran away from home because I knew that I couldn't tell them, and things in the house just got heated, and I was just wanting so badly to be independent and not have to have parents telling me what to do. So I ran away, lived with him and his family. We dated for like over 2 years, almost 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When we broke up, that's when the real stuff started happening. I went like when I said downhill before, like this was rock bottom, downhill. I went out every weekend. Wow. And mind you, I would still show up to church. That's how bad it was. Like I would sleep out at like a friend's house or whatever. I would come back and I vividly remember my mom telling me that I smelled like alcohol.
When you came to church?
I was at church. And to think back, I'm like, ew.
But were you and your mom like okay during that time? Or you would just come, because you guys serve in the same ministry, right? And then you guys would just kind of like not really talk?
I think...
Or how did that work?
Now that I look back at it, I really feel like she was trying. She was just desperate at that point, and she didn't want to push me away more.
Yeah.
So she would just love me.
Yeah.
And good. Like kind of hope that it would bring me back to my senses. But I was too far gone at that point. And at that point, it was in God's hands. And so she ended up, when I came home later, like after finding out that I was pregnant and stuff, she had told me that she was on her knees every night, crying, praying for me. And there was just one night, fast forward, there was one night that after I had told her that I was moving to the mainland with him, she had given it to God. That was her day, because she was like, take it. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. She's leaving. Like, she's done, but she doesn't. She's at rock bottom. She don't know what else to pray. And so I truly believe that it was my mom on her knees that brought me home. And then I had like church family and like regular family praying for me. But a mother's prayers, girl. Yeah.
I remember that was a time when we were like pretty high and by kind of thing. Like that's it. But I think I remember like Rocco.
Oh my gosh.
No, it wasn't anything major because I didn't really know you too well, but I knew Rocco more, which is her little brother, because we served together. And I remember him like asking for prayer for you. And I thought that was, I mean, he never like outed you and said what was going on or anything like that. But I remember he was just like, oh, please pray for my family and for Karis and stuff. And so, yeah. So now I'm remembering the time frame of all of that. Yeah.
What's messed up though is, now that I look back at it, I was so messed up. But it's so bad that I was so angry at my family for asking for prayer for me, because I was just like, you're literally out there airing my dirty laundry. Like, what the heck? Yeah. And so that pushed me away more. Once I found out that people at the church knew, I was like, okay, then I don't want to come to church. Hello, I'm going to walk in there and everybody knows. And they're going to just be looking at me. Yeah. And there was a couple people that did start acting differently. And that's when I was like, so that's when I really distanced myself. Yeah. Because at that point, me and my family weren't good. already.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of going out, a lot of partying, a lot of lying.
Mm-hmm.
There came a point where I was still living with my family, but going out. And then I would like text or call and be like, no, I would never call because it was usually loud. I would text and say like, oh, I'm sleeping out, or I would make a story up like, oh, we're doing karaoke at my friend's house.
Mm.
And the worst, okay, what is the worst lie you've, do you even lie? Did you ever
Do
lie?
I even lie? Yes.
Or excuse you gave your mom? I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean, I hid my last relationship before Pono. I completely hid that from like everybody and never really said. That was like my rebellion phase. So like I see similarities in ours, and like I
But
get
you're
what
such
you're
a good girl.
saying.
You didn't.
No,
You
but
went nowhere near.
no, but like there's definitely like my mom, that was like the rough spot for my mom and I too, because we talked about this in one of the episodes as well, in one of the girl talk episodes. But yeah, that was like a point where my mom, she did not like the person that I was with, and she knew that I was not myself. She knew I was rebelling, and she knew I was out of character, and this was like a weird phase of my life. And she just stopped talking to me. That was the only thing she could do. She was just like, and so for a short, it was maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, we stopped talking. And for me, that's really hard, especially being away from her.
And you guys, I feel like you guys are so close.
And we're so close. And for her to like completely shut me out, yeah. So
That's just
that
like
was
when they
like,
do the I'm so disappointed in you.
yeah.
That is worse than lickings, to be honest. Like when my
Yeah.
mom would say that to me, I would break. You know
Yeah.
those nights where you're just standing in the shower and you're just like,
Yeah,
it was those.
exactly. Oh yeah, the shower
That
cries.
was the result when my mom would say, I'm disappointed in you. So
Okay, but you mentioned moving to the mainland. Like you were
Yeah.
considering it,
oh no, it was going
It was going to
set. I
happen?
was supposed to be there.
but then,
I have to do the disclaimer.
yes.
So there's not really a way out of it, and you'll find this in a lot of single moms' testimonies. You want to share your testimony, but you also realize that there's not really a way around it to not make the other person look bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
And of course, when he shares his testimony, or his story, he would obviously, like,
Yeah.
I'd look like a villain, you know?
Yeah.
But disclaimer is just that I'm sharing my side of the story of what happened.
Yeah. And not trying to like bash.
and not
I know
trying to
that's
bash
that's
him,
not
like-
your heart. You're just explaining what happened to you. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good disclaimer. Yeah, for sure.
Because I was like, I don't want people mad.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely we'll get into that after.
Yeah.
But I had already, so we weren't together long before I got pregnant. It did not take long. I honestly think, if we're talking numbers, it was probably in the first month. It's really bad.
Oh wow.
And so once I found out I was pregnant, he was happy and I was not. Because at that time, me and my family had not talked.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't talking at all.
Yeah.
I knew that they were hurt. I knew that I hurt them. But it was like, I felt like I was so far gone and I hurt them so bad that there was nothing to do to mend that. And so I kind of just kept going. And so he was actually excited when we first found out. I cried. I was not the person to tell my family that I was pregnant, or my parents. I actually called my mom's younger brother. In that short gap of like my biological dad being there, that uncle was the one like in the dad role with my grandpa that my daughter is named after. So those are like the two father figures in my life growing up. And so I had called him and told him, and he actually told my parents for me, because I was like, I can't do it. Like, I don't know how the hell, because I told them, look, you're just being dramatic. Like, I'm not even pregnant. Like, I'm doing good
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. And that's what you say when you're not doing good things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of just went downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
He slowly started acting differently. He didn't like, so my first trimester, I was super tired and exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I got pregnant when I was in nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
I had just made it in,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't keep up. Like, I
Yeah.
was exhausted. I could sleep all day and like wake up and be tired.
Yeah.
And so it just got, just the manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
the sneaking behind my back, doing all of these things. One time it got physical. Once, and so it kind of just one thing after another. I realized that he was a jerk, but I was so scared of repeating what happened to my mom that I was willing to lower just view myself as less than, and like, you can't do better than this. Like, you need to make it work, because you always say that you don't want your daughter to, or your kids to grow up without a father. That was always the plan.
Yeah.
So I was willing to just take whatever he threw at me just to make it work. Like, you need to stay.
Yeah.
Never do that. Please don't do that. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just, I was just forcing the relationship at that point. He even at one point asked me if he could date someone else while we still dated and raised my daughter. That's how far gone.
Wow.
And then he got mad at me for being hurt by it. I'm like, it's not a thing, sis. It's not like, I don't know what world you live in, but it's not okay. And even like after things like that, I still was that's how far off I was, and how desperate I was to make sure that my daughter had a dad. And his plan was to move back to his home, which is Kansas City, or like, that was close where family was, and life was easier, and it was cheaper. And to this day, I don't know what was real and what wasn't, like what he lied about as far as moving there. I had sold all my things down here. I had been pregnant, sleeping on a couch in his friend's home that we lived on base. So another thing that was similar to my mom's story too is that we lived on base and we weren't supposed to. It was a hush thing. Like, we just took up one of their rooms.
Oh wow.
Because it was just at the time, just them two and their 1-year-old, and they had like a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, like military house.
Yeah.
And we lived with them. They had gotten rid of the bed that was in that room, and so I was sleeping on the couch.
Oh my gosh.
And he had flown up to the mainland to get things ready for when baby came, and just for us, like, find a house and whatever. And so I was living with his friend and the wife and their baby by myself. I've only known these people for 3 months, 4 months.
Wow.
And then we end up finding out that the wife was pregnant too. And so in that span of time, she would try very hard to push the subject of like, you're alone and I have somebody. So she would be just really extra dramatic on how sick she was and how he had to make her food. And one time she like got all nuts because I had eaten, like, I warmed up one of the microwavable. I was not eating. Like, I was so skinny. You could not tell I was pregnant until I had come home, and I was already maybe like 6 months pregnant already. That's when my stomach, like, you could tell that I was pregnant. Before that, like, I just
That's
didn't.
crazy.
Yeah, I just wasn't eating. And so just the house in itself was super toxic. She really loved drama. And so it was like a constant, like there was always something happening. So he had already left. The plan was for me to meet him up there. But I wanted to see my family again. And so the reason why I didn't move is because I kept telling him, I kept pushing it back. It's like, no, I want to have one more Thanksgiving with my family. And then it was, no, I want one more Christmas with my family. And it was making him super upset. And then we realized that he had, I think it was my social security card. We had like this binder or like this book with like important papers and documents and stuff. And he had it. And then randomly, randomly, my social security card is up with him. And then my ID.
What?
Yeah, so we didn't realize, or like he just didn't use his brain and take my stuff out so that when it was time for me to fly up. Not sure if he did it on purpose to this day.
Yeah.
He could have. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him, to be honest. And then randomly my ID goes missing.
Oh my gosh.
Just missing. And then you know the process in Hawaii to get a new one takes forever.
Really?
Yeah. And then at the time, I had already sold my car and sent him the money to help him get.
Oh my gosh.
Girl.
What?
When I tell you I was not working, I had to stop working. I had to stop going to school. I actually got kicked out of nursing school because I could not keep up. I like fainted at clinicals, like dry heaving because I wasn't eating, but I was on my feet because clinicals, you're like having to go all over the place. And so it was super bad. And they kind of were just like, you're falling behind. And they had to let me go.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I'm still working on as far as self-confidence. Like, so yeah, there's that. And so, yeah, my ID didn't have my social, so I can't get on a plane.
Yeah.
And if you don't tell me that, like, that's God.
Yeah.
I had my ID.
Actually.
I seriously do not know where it went.
Yeah.
So that was God stopping it because I couldn't go anywhere. I didn't have a car to even go. I hadn't been working yet. I was sending him money kind of often to help him. And then it's like kind of like move the process along, like to find our place and whatever. I had sent him more money than he was sending me. Like I barely had food or whatever. And yeah, I remember vividly posting, I went to hike Makapu one last time. And I said something like, I'll miss you, my Hawaii, or something like that. And it actually pops up on my Snapchat. I leave it there, you know, like my memory stuff. Yeah. I leave it there as like a reminder, like of like how far God's brought me. You know what I mean? I like to think like that's how close I was to leaving my covering and going to the mainland.
Yeah.
And so he had actually broken up with me. And like his stepdad or something had told him to tell me to find my own way up there. And so if I wanted to, because they had accused me of like cheating and all this, because of the wife that I was living with, there was like just dramas. And it came out that I was cheating and doing all this stuff. And I wanted, still at that point, wanted so desperately to just stay with him. Like I have to keep my family together,
Yeah.
That I sold my things specifically, like clothes, my school laptop, all kinds of things to gather enough money for myself to buy my plane ticket.
Wow.
Because he was not going to. Because he was so upset about the news of Karis is cheating and da-da-da-da-da. But even after that and like how he treated me and stuff, that's how badly and like how desperate I was to keep the family together. And so I remember selling my stuff. And then him kind of just being like, no.
Yeah.
And so it was like a couple days before Christmas where he legit was like, we're done. Like, we need to start talking about how we're going to co-parent with me being on the mainland and da-da-da-da-da. I remember getting that text, actually. It was a text.
Oh, wow.
And we've broken up in the past. Like, when he found out I was cheating. We had broken up. But I've always, like, just kept bouncing back and, like, talking back into being in a relationship. For some reason, this time, I sobbed. I remember my mom had gone to work, but it was her early day. Everybody was sleeping. So I I wake up to the text. I come in the front on the couch, and I just that was the hardest I've cried in, I think, ever. Where I could not catch my breath. Wow. And then my mom walks in the door. She panics. She's like, what the hell is going on? What happened? So she comes to me and she's like, that is when I came back to, I just want my mommy. Like, so she literally cradled me.
Yeah.
I felt like a little baby again. And she said, choose. Two words that she repeated constantly throughout my pregnancy was choose joy. So whenever she would see me, like, she would be able to notice when I was going, like, drifting mentally, like I was just not there. She would snap me out of it. And she'd be like, choose joy.
That's awesome.
So when that happened, she was like, go get ready. We're going on base. We're going to grab all your things now.
Wow.
And so that day, we all got in the car, carried all my stuff out, and I moved back in. Because at that night, I was sleeping over. So God orchestrated it so that I was not at the house on base by myself when I got the text. I was sleeping with my family.
Got it.
So even that part, looking back, it's super cool that he made it work.
Yeah.
And then even when I look back at it, my family said that they could see me getting skinnier and skinnier. And, like, I wasn't taking care of myself. Whenever I would go over to the house and, like, sleep over or whatever, I would apparently, like, eat that's when I would eat the most they've ever seen me eat.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice it, you know, like, in the moment.
Yeah.
But they said that they could tell that I wasn't, like, taking care of myself. Like, my hair looked so different. My skin. I was, like, bone skinny.
Wow. So when you and your family reunited, how far along in your pregnancy were you? Like, when you moved back in?
I was in my second trimester already, because I started working with my mom too. So that helped us.
Grow your relationship back. Yeah.
Even that he orchestrated so that my mom was a TA at the time, and the teacher quit randomly. She just walked out on the job.
Oh, wow.
And so when I had moved back, that spot was open. And they've never done that before, but they let me in.
Wow.
So I got, like, I didn't have any money when I came back to my family. Yeah. And I was super nervous because I was like, I'm having a whole kid.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah. And
so I gave birth on a Monday. I put in my 2 weeks or whatever. So my last day of work was Friday. And so I was like, I need to put in my 2 weeks so that I can rest for baby. Yeah. And then boom, I went into labor on Sunday. So that's all that time me and my mom got to work together was just us reconnecting. Like, that's God sanctified that time for us.
There we go.
So
yeah, that timing is, like, perfect. Yeah. That's amazing.
Because even now, like, they don't like hiring, like, liability kind, like family members being together. Yeah. Because she's working with kids, you know? Yeah. So.
Wow. And then Tony came.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did. Wait, how long was your labor?
It was honestly super fast.
Yeah.
Did you know when your water broke? Like, was it
I had to get induced.
Oh.
So they had to break it for me. Yeah.
Okay, so my water broke
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night.
Okay. But you didn't know?
I didn't know.
Mm.
I was, what do they call it? Nesting?
Yeah.
So I was nesting. I was like reorganizing
Yeah.
the dressers and
Mhm.
the room. Like I wasn't about to pop.
Yeah.
And so I'm nesting and then it just like,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, did I just pee myself?
Uh-huh.
So I'm like waddling to my mom and I'm like, I don't know if my water broke. How can you tell?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what to do. She's like, I don't know, just smell it. And I was like, I can't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to,
Literally can't. Yeah.
And she's like, I was like, can you smell it? So she did. She
Yes,
came like close. She
Mom.
came like here and she's like, doesn't smell like pee. And she's like, it's okay. Just like try and lay down. She's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, fine. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. And it was only a little bit. And so I went back to
Interesting.
sleep. In the middle of the night,
Uh-huh.
I like woke up in a puddle.
Really?
Like, I was like, what is happening? And so I got up. And even then, I still,
Didn't have contractions or anything?
I don't think so. I don't know if my pain tolerance is just super high because my family went to church. My mom was like, you can just stay home. I think I was supposed to serve in children's art.
Oh my gosh.
And so my mom was like, just stay home, like rest or whatever. While they're at church, 11 o'clock service is about to start. My dad and Healy took me to the hospital
Oh wow.
and they tested it. Funny story is my nurse was my teacher in nursing school.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So the lady that had to check if that was my water,
Yeah.
like they used the diaper that I put on,
Uh-huh.
and grabbed samples off of that.
Uh-huh.
She was my teacher. So she's like,
What?
oh my gosh, you're pregnant. How are you?
Yeah.
Like pregnant.
Yeah.
About to pop.
About to pop, about to have this baby.
So apparently my water had broken
Uh-huh.
Saturday night
Wow.
or like early Sunday morning, like 2 o'clock in the morning kind.
Mhm.
And so they had to give me Pitocin,
Yeah.
I think it was, to speed it up because once it's open, like all the bacteria or
Yeah.
whatever can get to the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had me on Pitocin for like hours.
Really?
So it's supposed to like make your contractions
Yeah.
stronger. So they would check in on me and they're like, are you sure you're okay? Because your contractions are like off the chart right now.
And you didn't have epidural at this point?
At this point, I didn't. And so I was,
How?
and mind you, my family, okay, local family, before COVID,
Yeah.
I had all of them in my room.
Stop.
I had my mom, my dad, my mom's brother, the one that told
Yeah.
them I was pregnant, his wife, their son, my dad's sister and her husband.
Dang, the whole tribe.
And they were all like talking stories, and my grandma and my siblings.
All
And
of
so
them
I'm
there?
on my bed and I'm like, it made me happy
Yeah, oh, 100%.
because when you're a single mom, like, especially in the beginning phases,
Yeah.
you don't want to be alone
Yeah.
because it like heightens the fact that you're alone.
Yeah.
And so having all of them
That's
there and
amazing.
hearing the laughing and whatever,
Yeah.
and like even them just sharing stories of like everybody's pregnancies,
Yeah.
whatever, it made me super happy, and I think that helped a lot.
That's good.
And so my grandma and my uncle have pictures of me dealing with contractions, like when it would hit,
Mm-hmm.
and they started getting closer and closer together. And I just remember I would always just close my eyes,
Mm.
and they still don't understand like how the heck. The only reason why I did epidural is because my mom said, you've been up for so long, you don't want to be too weak and too tired to push, because then you're really going to be stuck.
Yeah.
So she's like, just take it, babe, it's okay. So I ended up taking it.
So you can get some rest and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
But as far as like pushing and stuff, nowhere near an hour.
Yeah.
Like way less than an hour.
Wow.
She was already out and I was stitched up. I tore twice.
Mm. So was your whole family there for the whole thing?
No, thank God. Thank God,
Oh.
no. So my siblings went home with my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody went home. It was just my mom, my dad, and Sonoy.
Oh.
So the sister right under me
Aw.
that was in the room with me when I actually gave birth.
Sonoy
Mind you,
was
Sonoy,
there?
Sonoy slept on the floor, okay? Like, and then my dad slept on the bed. My mom was on the guest chair next to me, and she just like held my hand or whatever. But my mom made Sonoy's bed, like, just asked for, like, a crap load of, like,
Yeah.
pillows and
stuff.
blankets and cushions.
That's
and
so cute.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So she actually recorded it. Do you have a recording of you giving birth?
Not reset the camera, but like it's all right. It's not like the best, but it was just Pono in there. But it was pre-COVID, but it was supposed to be my mom, but then
She wasn't. Why did I think she was?
no, she
Did
came
she
the
come
next
to
day.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I gave birth 3 weeks early, so she was like trying to time it out and stuff. But yeah, she came the next day. But that's
I
so
was
awesome.
gonna say, I
Sonoy got to be there.
remember her being in the hospital. Like, you posting pictures of
She
her
literally
in the
once I
hospital.
said I'm in labor, I'm in the hospital.
Booking that ticket,
She
girl.
did. She really did, and she
She's
literally came the
amazing.
next day. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
wow.
crazy. But wow, that's awesome. Sonoy was there. Okay, so Tony, now she's 2 years old. She's a toddler. She gonna be
She
3
is
soon.
Crazy.
She's so cute.
She's so
But
smart.
what is like let's talk about like the victory side now, because you shared a lot about the struggles, which that is incredible to see, like where you are now,
Yeah.
to hear all the struggles, to see like what you're saying, like literally God orchestrated everything, and there's those little things that you can look at now and be like, oh wow, that was God. And that's like for a lot of people, right? We can look back and be like, oh wow, thank
Like, you
God.
don't realize
you don't
it
realize
in
when it's
the-
happening.
Yeah.
For sure. So what is life like now with Tony, and your family dynamic is much better than it was however many years ago, 2-3 years ago, right? So yeah, let's talk about like the victory side of things, because sorry, before you say something, I'm gonna add one more thing, because I just love seeing you be a mom to Tony. It's like, I don't know, it's the best. And she's so cute. She's very well behaved too, which is a testament.
Okay.
But you know, toddlers, I mean,
They're not they don't behave when it's just you and them.
That's true. That's right. Or everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's so
cute.
Yeah. But then he's like a rascal at home. I get it. But that's still like a testament to you and how you are as a mother. And so yeah, tell us about that.
She's super smart.
She is.
Which is scary though, because she's gotten to the phase where she's a parrot. So even more so, it's like I have to really watch what I say, because she will yell it right after I say it. So you gotta be careful sometimes. But it's definitely, being a single mom has taught me so many things that I really don't believe that I would have learned any other way, because I was so stubborn, because my pride was so ridiculous. I don't want to say it, but that was the only way that God could get my attention. And in time, it forced me to unlearn things and like reassure me that the things that I believed were true, the things that I believed were the only way, wasn't. I tried so hard to stick with him that I compromised my self-worth, and like,
wow,
I didn't value myself, and it showed, you know what I mean? And to look back at that and see that I'm slowly learning. It's obvious that it's not going to be a good day every day.
Yeah.
You're going to have those days where you're overly focused on the past or what could have been or whatever. But for the most part, I'm super thankful that I'm standing in the victory already, you know?
Yeah.
My mom's prayer that she recently, not recently, maybe like, no, recent, I think like while Tony was here kind of thing, was that I would be surrounded by people that gave me godly advice. And so she prays that over her kids. And to know, okay, do you know that there's like, did you ever hear a prayer that you like did not know you could pray? You know what I mean? Like, wow, I'd never thought about praying for that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my big like mind blown, you know, was praying that your kids are surrounded by people that give them godly advice, not just advice that makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was surrounded by, was friends that were like either
tell you what you wanna
applauding
hear.
me, telling me what I want to hear,
and
that just made me go farther and farther.
Yeah.
So being able to hear those kind of prayers, and then now my mom's prayers are like definitely being answered. I'm meeting so many new people, and then people actually speaking life back into me. I can see it. It's just cool to see my mom's prayers being answered and being reassured that my prayers matter when it comes to Tony, and how significant it is and how important it is to already start praying for her. For me, I'm so grateful that I can start. She's only 2 and I'm praying those kind of prayers. I'm surrounded, but it started with my mom. If she hadn't prayed that, you know, then I wouldn't have the friends I have now, like you too included. Showing me what it's like to chase after Jesus and to stand in his redemption.
I'm so happy that you were able to share all of this, because like I said, and I've told you before, like there's power in your testimony. There's power in anybody's testimony, right? And anybody's story. And I don't know the struggle that you've went through personally, but I know that so many people can relate to. And there's little bits and pieces that we can both relate to about that. And yeah, I just really am so grateful for your friendship in this season and Tony and Ryder's friendship.
Oh my gosh. Okay, don't make me cry because
We're
you guys
gonna
are
have
leaving.
No, I know. We're literally leaving. When we're filming this, we're leaving a week from now for people who are watching, but we're going to FaceTime for sure. We're going to come back and visit 100%. It's going to be weird when we come back and visit. I wonder if they'll remember each other. If we FaceTime, yes. We show the pictures.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about that. I was like, if we FaceTime, then they'll actually remember each other.
100%. Yes, we have to. But thank you so much for coming on here and sharing and being vulnerable. And for those of you watching, I hope that you guys got something from this, because it's such a powerful story. And for those of you who...
I hope so.
No, it is 100%.
I hope so.
And for those of you who are struggling, we hope this encourages you wherever you're at in your season. And we just want to say thank you for watching and tuning in to this week's episode. And thank you, Karis, for joining me and sharing. And yeah, that's all for this week's Let's Talk Story. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.